Good evening, members and officers. If you could please note that this meeting is being live streamed via YouTube, and may I ask that should you have an electronic device with you that you turn it to silent for the duration of this meeting. With regards to fire safety regulations, we are not anticipating the fire alarms being tested, so should they sound, please make your way out of the chamber and out of the building via the indicated stairways in an orderly fashion. Please do not attempt to use the lifts. Once outside the cube, please assemble next to the swimming pool. Do not attempt to re-enter the building until you are told it is safe to do so. Thank you very much. Chair.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. This is the first meeting of the new year, so Happy New Year to everyone. I would now like to formally open the meeting. I would like to remind all members that should they leave the chamber during the debate of any item, they should satisfy themselves that they have heard enough of the debate to vote in an instructive manner. I would also be grateful if all contributions can be concise and that the various time limits for speeches are respected. Thank you. The new year brings with it the sad news of the sad passing of a highly valued councillor, Councillor Michael Tebbett. I'm sure we all join in sending our deepest condolences to his friends and family. I would now like to pass to the leader to provide tribute to Councillor Tebbett and call for the minute's silence.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good afternoon to everyone, good evening rather to everybody today. So again, we mourn the passing of another member of the Northamptonshire local government family, Councillor Mike Tebbett. Mike, as many of you know, was elected to Northamptonshire, as we were, on May the 21st, 6th of May 21st, year 2021, representing the Desborough ward. He served on Kettering Borough Council from 2003, representing the St Giles ward. He was also a member of the Northamptonshire Shadow Authority from June 20 to May 21. And he also sat on the NNC Strategic Planning Committee from May 21 to 23 alongside full council. Mike also served as an executive assistant as well and was very much recognised for his encyclopedic understanding of planning, and as a new leader who didn't particularly understand planning, he was very, very useful to understand what was being asked of this authority, and he will be missed, I'm sure, by everyone in this authority. Mike's memorial service is due to take place on February the 5th at 2 p.m. at St Giles's Church in Desborough. And I'm sure fellow councillors would like to extend their condolences. So, with no further ado, Madam Chair, I'd like to open the floor to hear any other tributes to Mike before we take the minute silence in his honour. Thank you.
Councillor Hakewell.
Thank you, Chairman. I can remember in 2002, I think it was, approaching Mike, recognising the calibre of person that he was, and encouraging. It might have been earlier than that because he was reluctant to join, but then he did get elected, and I was on the council then, on the cabinet at KBC. He was a lovely man, and he was straight down the line. He didn't really care so much for politics, if I dare say that in this hallowed chamber, but he also, in chairing the planning policy, really did work hard to try and make our building as communities, but not as estates, memorably in the countryside. So he was a lovely man. I pay my condolences to his family, but also to, in his memory, thank him for the time and energy that he spent on the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Matt Keane.
Thank you. On behalf of the Labour Group, I'd like to express my sincere sympathies to the Councillor Mike Tebbett and his friends and family. and to the councillors here in North Northamptonshire. I didn't have too many dealings with Mike, but every time I did, he was very gentlemanly, and he would be dearly missed by this council.
Thank you. Councillor Russell Roberts.
I'd just like to say, Chair, that Mike Tebbett was one of the gentlemen in the world, but he always spoke hard words to power as well. He wouldn't be put off by anything. And just one little story against me, I suppose, but when I first became a councillor, I went to Mike and I said, I've found a solution for all the litter in Kettering and its area. I've found the solution to it. And he put his hands on my shoulders and he looked me in the eye and he smiled. He said, no, you haven't, boy, but nice try. We were friends from that moment on. Sorely missed.
Thank you. Councillor David Howes.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So Mike was a colleague in Desborough Ward when we first became a unitary council, but I first met Mike back in 2010 when I got involved in local politics, and as has been said tonight, he was first and foremost a gentleman, and because he was a local chap to where I originated, Desborough, he took me under his wing a little bit, and he was just very, very helpful and very caring. And the one thing I remember distinctly about Mike was when my wife was pregnant with our first child, he was just amazingly enthusiastic and just overjoyed. And it was amazing to see, you know, a lovely chap just, you know, overwhelmed with emotion of, you know, somebody who was having a newborn baby. And when we had that newborn baby, him and his wife Mary was, you know, they made a special effort to come round with a present, and he was just such a nice guy, and you know, amazingly talented, as the leader has said, with his font of knowledge, and he'll just be greatly missed. And you know, above and beyond politics, it's just nice that sometimes we can just remember we're all human, we're all fallible, and he'll be greatly missed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Scott Edwards.
Thank you, Chair. Growing up in the small town of Desborough, Mike Tebbett was one of the first people I met when I joined the Conservative Party, and as it has been said, he is a true gentleman. And with Mary, they were a formidable team. But not just with his council work, he was a true Rotarian as well, and gave so much to the community in the voluntary work that he did. I also knew him through St Giles Church, where he was an active member and participated in that as well, and absolutely will be truly missed.
Thank you. Councillor Brackenbury, did you wish to speak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I echo the comments that everybody's made, and the sincere tributes from across the floor which have been paid to Mike. I've known Mike for quite a number of years, because Mike sat on and was one of the key figures in the North Northamptonshire Joint Planning Committee. And that Joint Planning Committee brought the four authorities and the County Council together to provide strategic planning for all of Northamptonshire. And it was a great body of councillors who were working across the political divide. There was no politics in it. We were all working to make Northamptonshire as good a place as we possibly could. And Mike was absolutely instrumental in that body. He was chair of it for a year, and he was very, very distinguished in that. Then North Northamptonshire came along, and Mike was, when I came on the executive, Mike was asked to join as my assistant, and what a great choice that was. His wisdom and his knowledge in planning matters, both in the local area and more strategically, were absolutely invaluable. Mike was a fierce advocate for Desborough, and made sure that Desborough and that area was never forgotten in all the deliberations that we did. But he had this broader strategic vision for all of North Northamptonshire. he was so valuable as, you know, when I was coming onto the executive and learning at pace what you have to learn. It was so useful to be able to chew it over with Mike. And in his private life, he was getting on a bit in years, but you'd never notice it. And he was, you know, he was driving around at breakneck speed in a massive vehicle, towing caravans. He was driving overseas. He was really enjoying life until really quite soon before the end when he became ill. He won't be forgotten. He is a great figure. He reflects great credit on all of Northamptonshire, and he served the county really well, and he will be enormously missed. God bless Mike.
Thank you. That's an end to the tributes. May we please now have a minute's silence? Thank you. Thank you, councillors. The contribution by Mike will be greatly missed by all. As a tribute to Mike and others recently lost to this council, I've been asked to draw your attention to a special event that is being organised in their memory. This is a charity ball to be held at Kettering Park Hotel on Saturday, the 11th of May. The proceeds from the evening will go to support Prostate Cancer UK. Flyers, similar to this one, giving further details. I'm not sure if they're available for you to collect, but Councillor Jan O'Hara, who is organising the event, can circulate it to all who may be interested. Thank you. Can we move on to the agenda? Are there any apologies for absence? Sorry. Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Chair. Got apologies from Councillors Jelly, Eakins, Smith-Haynes, Llewell, Sedwin Brown, Bell, Irwin, Bunday, Smith, Walters, North, Lavelle, Deering, Bone, Powell, Carr, Harrington, Harrison, and Councillor O'Hara might be here later.
Thank you. Councillor Ross Armour.
Thank you. We have apologies from Councillors McEwen, Anslow, Sims, Leanne Buckingham, John McGee and Cahoon.
Thank you. Councillor Emily Fedorovich.
Thank you, Chair. We have apologies from Councillor Best. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other apologies?
There are none, Chair. That's all of them.
Thank you. Item 2 on the agenda. Are there any declarations of interest that councillors wish to make related to any item to be discussed? Okay, thank you very much. At this point, I'd like to exercise Chairman's prerogative and bring forward a significant achievement to your attention. This concerns a project pioneered in Northamptonshire and currently unique to this county. I had the privilege on Tuesday morning this week, along with the Chief Exec, the Mayor of Wellingborough and others, to visit the youth court based in Wellingborough. This was intended to be a royal visit by Her Royal Highness Princess Anne. Unfortunately, the weather prevented her from attending. We were, however, able to continue with the tour and to see for ourselves the innovative work that the Youth Court initiated here in Northamptonshire. The Chrysalis Foundation is a UK charity. Their key focus is to prevent, reduce, mitigate and treat trauma, in particular childhood trauma, the negative impacts of which can start at a very early age and last a lifetime. Working in close partnership at court with the Northamptonshire County Youth Bench, His Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Services, Northamptonshire Youth Offending Service and the regional charity Service 6, the Chrysalis Foundation have established a Youth Courts Solutions project. The trauma and other adversities have impacts on the criminal justice system. Data clearly suggests disadvantaged and traumatised children represent a disproportionate percentage in the system. The Youth Court Solution Project, launched in October 2021, directly targets the causes and symptoms of trauma towards understanding, recovery and reduced youth offending. To do this, they have moved away from the formal and stressful setting of the youth court and established a more informal tribunal-style setting that provides an opportunity to engage an entire county cohort of youth defendants, victims, witnesses, families and friends in one place at one time. Northamptonshire Youth Offending Services whole team and the independent charity Service 6 youth workers attend the court all day. This means a professional, multidisciplinary team is available to give immediate support and guide beneficiaries on the day and beyond. Based on the initial success and increasing take-up of the service by young people and their grown-ups, the model is working. In the first 2 years of the project, at-court interventions have been provided to 294 young people and 176 parents and carers. This represents 58% of the total number of youth defendants attending court and a 41% increase in youth defendants accessing the services. Across the same time frame, there has been a 67% increase in parents and carers accessing services at court. Most of the grown-ups they see are struggling to regulate their own emotions due to their own significant trauma experiences. This impedes their ability to help their children manage their feelings and behaviours. Helping grown-ups too enables a multi-generational approach. Their increased engagement is particularly powerful given their immediate and beyond court influence on youth defendants, their younger siblings and other family members who may be at risk of entering the criminal justice system. The most powerful statistic is the analysis of reduced youth reoffending by beneficiaries of the Youth Court Solutions project compared to non-beneficiaries. The latest UK youth reoffending rate is 31%. The reoffending rate by Youth Court Solutions beneficiaries is only 8%. Furthermore, the project made a wider impact on the county's youth reoffending rate, which is low at only 13%. In 2023, project beneficiaries exhibited a 36% reduction in reoffending rates compared to youth defendants who did not access the service at court. This is an extraordinary achievement, and it is hoped that this model can now be transferred into other areas within the UK. So I think that is an outstanding achievement, and the people involved are to be applauded for leading the way on this. Thank you for your indulgence. Before we move on to the main agenda, may I first of all congratulate Councillor Jill Mercer on her appointment as Executive Portfolio Holder for Adult Care. She has already made an outstanding contribution to the work of the Council, and I'm sure she will bring her usual passion and commitment to her new role. Thank you. Right, item 3 on the agenda, monitoring officer designation to appoint interim appointment and interim arrangements. May I please see Councillor Laura Lorman to present and move this report.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. As per the report in front of you, I don't think there's an awful lot of explanation. It lays out the reasons why we have to split this. We will have a brand new, very experienced, legally trained chief executive going forward. But as per the report, there are a number of changes that this council is required to make in preparation of the new chief executive and head of paid services, Mrs. Adele Wiley, to take over her new responsibilities. So to ensure that we are statutory and legally compliant, we are required to appoint a separate person as a monitoring officer. You will have seen in the report the reasons, the options we had, but I think it was quite clear in that report as well that we should go one way. We have got a very experienced deputy monitoring officer, and to appoint our existing deputy monitoring officer, Sanjit Sal, to this post, I think would be the right way. Sanjit brings a wealth of experience, as you can see in 5.3 of that report, and it therefore gives me great pleasure to propose that our current Assistant Director of Legal and Democratic and Deputy Monitoring Officer, Ms. Sanjit Sal, shall become the Council's Interim Monitoring Officer, and I'm also delighted for the incoming Chief Executive, Mrs. Adele Wiley, to be now moved. You have moved already to the right there, as to assume in future the Chief Executive's role. And I think at this time I'm asking for your support for this interim appointment. Thank you.
Thank you. May I please see Councillor Wendy Brackenbury to second the item?
Thank you, Chair. I'm very happy to second the recommendations. Sanjit Sal will be a very well qualified to take on the role of the interim monitoring officer. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no speakers on this item, so can we now move to the vote? Oh, sorry. We have Councillor Wetherall.
Yeah, just a brief question. I was unsure if it is a full-time role, because I understand the existing officer is a part-time employee, so she's moving from part-time to full-time, is that correct? I think she only works 4 days a week.
Through you, Chair, it's compressed hours. So she's currently working all of her hours over 4 days a week. We're going to keep that under review to see if that works in practice or whether it needs to move to a 5-day working pattern.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Right, no other speakers, so can we now move to the vote? Please use your electronic voting buttons, which will appear on your microphone unit once the vote has commenced. You will have 30 seconds to vote. Thank you.
The vote has now commenced. There are 10 seconds remaining.
The vote is now concluded. That's 48 in favour, no abstentions, none against. So that is unanimous, Chair.
Thank you. Right, the motion is carried. Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda, proposed revisions to the Constitution, Audit and Governance Committee Terms of Reference. May I please see Councillor Andy Mercer to present and move this report.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I won't be saying much about this. It's relatively straightforward. It brings our regulations for audit into line with the CIPFA recommendations, and it's gone through the Constitution Working Group and then through Democracy and Standards Committee, and I think it's a very straightforward motion. Thank you.
Thank you. May I please see Councillor Andy Weatherall to second this item?
Yeah, I'm happy to second the item, thank you.
Right. One speaker, Councillor Hakewell.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't have a problem with the report. I just wondered if the Chairman could explain why it was an emergency meeting and why it took so long.
Councillor Mercer, do you wish to respond?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. I would have preferred it to have gone through quicker, but there were, as you can see, massive revisions, and so it had multiple cycles before the people who know about these things better than I do were confident that it was sufficiently right. So we would have had it faster if we could have done, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. There are no other speakers, so we will now move to the vote. Please use your electronic voting buttons, please.
The vote has now commenced. There are 10 seconds remaining.
The vote is now concluded. Same scores as last time, 48 in favour, no abstentions, none against, and so that is unanimous, Chair.
Thank you. The motion is carried. Item 5, Local Government Association, Civility in Public Life, Debate, Not Hate campaign. May I please see Councillor Jason Smithers to present and move this report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm proud to present this report and thank Andy and the Democracy and Standards Committee for recommending this item to Council. We are all councillors because we are passionate about our residents and about our place. We may sometimes have differing views and perspectives, but we are not united in doing the best for Northamptonshire, and we should also be united in this chamber in supporting the Debate Not Hate campaign. All too often, those in public life receive hate and abuse when carrying out their roles. In October 2021, the LGA, which is the Local Government Association, launched its survey called the LGA's Call for Evidence on Abuse and Intimidation of Councillors. The survey aimed to gather data of participants' experiences and concerns regarding public abuse and intimidation. The figures that came out of that survey are perhaps shocking to some, but they're unlikely to be shocking to us lot in this chamber. 88% of respondents have experienced abuse directed at them, with 98% of the councillors having experienced it on multiple occasions. 73% reported experiencing abuse via social media. 64% have experienced in-person abuse. 59% believe abuse was triggered by a particular event, with 68% of these believing it was a particular decision which triggered the abuse. The findings from the report were used by the LGA to produce a report and the Debate Not Hate campaign to create the Debate and Not Hate campaign. The campaign aims to raise public awareness of the role of councillors in local communities, encourages healthy debate and support those in public life facing abuse and intimidation. The LGA has also called for support from councillors, MPs and organisations to sign the public statement to show support for the campaign and for the recommendations which are set out in the report. We have a great opportunity of one of the largest unitary authorities in the country to show leadership in signing this statement and support our local government family. The council report contains recommendations from the Local Government Association, and whilst we can simply support, one of the recommendations is about proactive action that we can take as a council. The recommendation is at paragraph 3 of the report, sets out the steps that we can take to ensure the safety and well-being of councillors, and I therefore move these important recommendations.
Thank you. May I please see Councillor Matt Keane to second the item?
Thank you. I really welcome this as well. It's so important that as a broad church of views representing all of our electorate, we're able to share and debate our views in a way where we can disagree without being disagreeable. We're all fiercely passionate about our communities and the residents that we serve, and we all want to encourage and set good examples for future community activists to stand for local councils without fear of hate or intimidation. I am more than happy to support this, and I would like to see a cross-party working group on how we as one council can support this. I look forward to working with friends and leaders across all sides of the chambers to see how we can support the Debate Not Hate campaign and champion local democracy.
Thank you. Speakers on this item, may I please see Councillor Andy Mercer?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I was very grateful when this item came before the Democracy and Standards Committee that we could recommend it to full council, knowing that it would get cross-party support, which it should do. It is not a trivial matter. I made a list of the things that I've suffered since I've become a councillor. I've had things thrown at me from the visitors' gallery, missed me by luck. I've chaired meetings where there were death threats to the councillors, so we had to arrange police protection for the committee. I've been aware of a threat to blow up one of the council buildings I've been working in. I've had people threaten me and intimidate me and visit my house. Luckily, I wasn't there at the time, so that I've had to have our house hardened after police advice. Cost us a bundle of money to strengthen the facilities there, put in CCTV all over the place, etc. Shouldn't have to do this. There has been a polarisation of views in many communities. Instead of people thinking we're all working for the benefit of our community, people start to hate, which is what this is all about. Hate shouldn't be there at all. You should be just saying, yes, I disagree with you, but that's a matter of opinion, or perhaps I've got different evidence to you. It shouldn't be, oh, I just hate that person. And I'm seeing a lot of that these days, and it damages local communities. It damages democracy. when you've got people motivated by hate, they're not looking for the best of their community. I don't know what they're looking for, but it isn't to make their community better. It isn't to improve the well-being of their people. And I'm afraid we need to try and bring back that community spirit into local government, because otherwise, sometime soon, we're going to see a tragedy.
Thank you. Councillor Zoe McGee.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say thank you to Sanjeet and Adele and Ben, because when I was facing quite a frightening situation last year, they were brilliant, and this was long before this report was even ever brought to us. They were really brilliant. I was really quite scared and really quite unsettled by some of the emails and messages and things I was getting, and I couldn't have asked for better support from this council and from yourself, Sanjeet, and Ben, who was really brilliant. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Councillor Emily Fedorovich, please.
Thank you, Chair. I really welcome this report. It was great to see it come to Democracy and Standards. We had some really great conversations, but I mean, it kind of really brought it home in terms of the fact, well, some of the things for me was just the fact that people were being put off being a councillor because of the culture issues, because of some of the threats, because of some of this abuse side of things. And that's quite a sad thing, because I want people to be a councillor. I want people to aspire to be part of our council. And I think building up that trust between each other, between the people that we serve, that's such an important thing. And that's where a lot of our councils across the UK are struggling massively right now. And I've talked with Jason about how we could potentially try and work better together, how we could build more bonds between us over the things that we care about, rather than some of the other political divisions and things, because there's a lot that we all really care about. And I think, yeah, I very much welcome this report. Anything that we can do to support it, a working group or some way that we can get together to really move us forward in a really good direction, I think that's a really powerful thing. And transparency. I think that's transparency, that's a really, really key thing for all of us. So, yes, welcome this report, and thank you very much as well for officers for bringing this to our attention.
Thank you. Councillor Jim Hakewell.
Thank you, Chairman. I never know about the declarations, but I probably should declare that I'm a board member of 2 LGA national boards. I don't think it really makes a difference to this debate. I want to divert very, very briefly and take a similar choice that you did. I'm wondering, now that we've got an official portrait of our king, when we will actually, and it seems a shame to say it, but see that the Queen's portrait goes and we get a portrait of the king as our head of state. Looking in the report, and sometimes I criticise people for this, but in 3111D, it says to ensure that support is provide rather than provided. And I quite like the typo in 5.2 which says respondents have reported that such incidents also have an impact on their willingness to stand for reflection as opposed to election. And standing for reflection seems not a bad thing to describe the way we do our work as councillors. Like charity, Chairman, it starts at home, and that sort of process needs to start in this chamber. And it's sad sometimes that, you know, a belittling attitude of people's past and the things that they've done should not be constantly reflected on one's progress today. And certainly I remember many very good colleagues who sought and felt abuse at the County Council's time of its most difficult time. And some of those people who were so vitriolic perhaps now wonder why they did that, because we're now in a situation in the council not so dissimilar. The other aspect of that is in the report, and I find this one difficult, and I understand Councillor Mercer's point, is our home addresses. And I find that to be a difficult one, because to be elected as a councillor, I'm proud to say that I live where I do, and within the community that I actually serve. Obviously, one of the things that attaches to whether or not we have to have our addresses, and I appreciate the monitoring officer past and no doubt future for allowing us to put care of this chamber. The problem that I think we do have with that is the Electoral Commission and the imprint, which sits on all our election leaflets and goes onto the web and social media, is always going to be there. So even if we choose not to have our addresses on council processes or literature, that's a difficulty. And I wonder, I don't know, and I throw this in, whether or not we can use the council's address on an imprint or have some other accommodation. I tried to find out if we could have a PO box, and it's really quite expensive.
Sorry, Councillor Hakewell, your time is up. Thank you.
Add those points, and I thank you for allowing me to go just over my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dorothy Maxwell.
What I'd like to say about this report is I wish that sometimes developers actually realise what they say. The illustration I'd like to give tonight is coming out of a planning meeting and a developer telling me that I shall have my legs chopped off. However, they're still here. People, I think, however, I think they need to think what they put in the press to make sure the facts are correct. Often they're not, and they don't realise what exactly it means to the person they're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lee Wilkes.
Thank you, Chair. So, as others have said, I'm delighted to see this agenda and this item on the agenda this evening. Of course, it's odd, isn't it? Because in a perfect world, we wouldn't even need this on the agenda. But then, in a perfect world, we wouldn't need things like the Equalities Act, something that I spent years and years educating people on. And Chair, I firmly believe that we should be as protected and as respected for our different political and philosophical beliefs as we are legally through the Equalities Act, for our different religious beliefs, for our age, our gender, our race, and our sexual orientation. It is truly frightening, as the leader said, that 88% of councillors who responded to the LGA's survey said that they had experienced abuse or intimidation. That's simply for being a councillor or for their political views. And all of us in this room are aware of how serious that can become. So, Chair, as I said at the beginning, I'm delighted to see this issue raised tonight. I really hope it helps promote the need for respect of members and their views, and I hope that that starts within this chamber and then filters out. After all, this melting pot of a council that we are all part of is far richer for the different views that we all hold.
Thank you. Councillor Mark Pengelly.
Yeah, Chairman, each and every one of us in this chamber get elected, and we get elected to make things better for the people we represent. We don't get elected to make things worse. We may have different ways of wanting to do that, but I think we've all got, in our hearts, we want to get things done for people. And what we've seen in the last few years is two MPs, Joe Cox and David Amos, get murdered, carrying out that same role, trying to improve people's lives. And from when Joe Cox got murdered, we brought something in as a group. We started looking about surgeries, how we could protect ourselves if somebody came in. We probably need, from the monitoring officer and others, proper training on what to do, how to protect ourselves. As officers, you get told when a house is red flagged that you've got to go there with another officer, there's a danger to you. We could get a phone call and go to that house on our own and be in danger. But because of data protection, we're not told that. There's got to be more protection for us as councillors. I have been attacked myself. The Colby Borough Council are aware of it, did nothing. North Northampton are aware of it, they've done nothing yet about it. And We are all in danger when we go out there. When you go on to doors, you have to make sure people know where you're going to, someone knows as well. But that's all to do with training. I'm an experienced counsellor, so I know what to do. But I'm sure there's some younger ones that go along to a door willy-nilly, think they're going to help somebody. They can be in danger. And this is the kind of society we live in right now. You can always put yourself in danger. You've always got to always look at not putting yourself in danger. So I think that I welcome this report. I think that it's long due coming. And I think we have to probably get a working party together to look at what's best for us all, also for the public we serve. So that's all I've got to say on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Laura Lorman.
Thank you, Chairman. I just would like to say in the 21 years I've been a councillor, or almost 21 years I've been a councillor, all of you, or most of you, only know me for the past 2.5 years. I am German born, and I'm just there for any abuse quite often that can come my way. Holocaust Memorial Day, just before, about 10, 15 years ago, I had a lovely envelope being sent to my home address because my home address was there. And it was just a collection on anything relating to the Holocaust, as though I didn't know what my forefathers perhaps were responsible for. We've had people who decided it was great fun in the last 2.5 years to harass both Graham and I to such an extent that whilst on the phone to one of our younger councillors who was talking to me about being bullied, intimidated, whatever you want to call it, and I was sort of saying, well, if it was me, I would do this and that. And as I was looking, the person who'd been persecuting us, as I would call it, was coming up our drive. At that point, our address wasn't even online anymore. That person scared me because I was on my own at home. So what I would like to get out of this mutual understanding is it doesn't matter, I sound different, and even after the 37 years, my accent will never go. I may sound arrogant, but those who really know me, I'm far, far from it. I care about people. But we need to develop a little bit more of an understanding for each other, and that sometimes what you see is not really what you get. Protect each other. Councillor Pengelly was very right with the MPs who were murdered. I know our previous MP in Wellingborough had so many attacks on his office, and it is not acceptable in modern life. But sadly, it is what modern life seems to be all about. And there is nothing, even an unwise comment sometimes, for somebody like me, who wasn't born here, who hasn't quite acquired the British sense of humour yet. I'll understand it differently, and an unwise comment can do a lot of harm, because for a couple of days or so, I will dwell over it and think, well, what have I done wrong that that person said that to me? And I think we just need to care a little bit more about each other.
Thank you. Councillor Helen Howell, please.
Thank you, Chair. I too welcome this paper. It's quite disturbing, and I think some have said it before me, that we're actually having to bring this sort of paper to this council to get approval, and it's a shame that it's taken so long for the LGA to recognise this. And everybody's talked about different experiences and everything, but one of the key things that we haven't sort of addressed at the moment is mental health. And I think, as a council, we're always looking at the mental health of our residents and making sure that we're trying to do our utmost. But actually, we're put in a really difficult position as councillors. We have to think about everybody else all the time. And sometimes we really could do with some support for our own mental health. I know some of the councillors have struggled. Sometimes we have councillors off for considerable periods of time due to mental health, and that's due to the pressure that we as councillors are put under. And it is a great deal of pressure. It's a lot sitting on our shoulders. We're making these decisions for our residents. It's a great burden, really. Don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic honour to have been elected as a councillor, but we also have to think about everybody's mental health, not just our residents, but our own as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. There are no other speakers. Councillor Smithers, do you wish to respond?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to everyone across the chamber completely, because I think we're united on the fact that we all need to be a little bit kinder to each other and lead by example. People watch these meetings. They see where they are. They're elected individuals that are there to represent the communities that we serve. And I think we need to get that balance right of, you know, the debate, not hate, that what it actually means, what it means for this authority, what it means for the image that we put out there. But there's a big part in this that we're all missing here, and I don't think many of us have picked up on it, but it's not just elected members. We've got some fantastic staff in these organisations, and quite often they're at the sharp end of the frustration of us as elected members. Now, you know, 99.9% of the time, we're all very courteous to each other. You know, to staff and such. But there is that odd opportunity where members may just push their luck a little bit far. So just a little gentle reminder, we're all human, we're no different, we all come into the world the same, and unfortunately we all leave the same. So we just need to look at people around us and be compassionate to the fact that you're dealing with a human being. You're not dealing with an officer, you're not dealing with an opposition member. We're not dealing with someone who is gay. We're not dealing with somebody who is straight. We're dealing with human beings. Now, if we could all get together and think about we're human beings, what a better world this would be. We wouldn't have as many wars going on. There wouldn't be so much hate in the world as there is currently at the moment, as the national news will beam into your front rooms every day. We need to be mindful of what we're doing locally so we lead by example. And that's what I would like to just close that debate off with that in mind. Lead by example. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We will now move to the vote. Would you please use your electronic voting buttons, please?
The vote has now commenced. There are 10 seconds remaining.
The vote is now concluded. 47 in favour, no abstentions, none against. That's unanimous, Chair.
Okay, thank you. The motion is carried. Final item on our agenda, item 6, is a request for dispensation for attendance. May I please see Councillor Scott Edwards to present and move this report.
Thank you, Chair. This report is to ask for Council's approval to allow Councillor Chrissy Smith-Haynes dispensation to not attend meetings due to ill health. Chrissy has suffered ill health and has been unable to attend meetings. This dispensation will allow Chrissy to continue as a councillor, something that Chrissy has done on and off for quite a few years. I wish Chrissy well for the future and a full recovery, and I ask Council to support this request.
Thank you. Can I please see Councillor Mark Rowley to second the item?
Thank you, Chair. I second this and reserve the right to speak.
Thank you. Councillor Hakewell, please.
Thank you, Chairman. It's a sad situation to have to be making this dispensation, but having known Chris Smith-Haynes for a very long time, in fact I know everyone for a very long time, more than most here I guess, I would just like that we should record that we hope for her to be getting better very quickly and recovering from it. I think that's important, not just on the face of it an item of procedure. So wishing her well.
Yes, thank you for those comments. There are no other speakers. Councillor Rowley, okay, in that case, Councillor Edwards, do you wish to comment further? We will move to the vote. Please use your electronic voting buttons.
The vote has now commenced. There are 10 seconds remaining.
The vote is now concluded. 48 in favour, no abstentions, none against. Unanimous, Chair.
The motion is carried. Thank you. There are no urgent items of business to bring forward on this occasion, so we'll move to agenda item 7, which is close of the meeting. Thank you, councillors, officers, and members of the public who may be watching at home. That now completes the business of the meeting.